What is the best carbohydrate for the brain? You know what's interesting is that carbohydrates, in theory, wouldn't be the best fuel for the brain. I mean, when we're in college, we're told, oh, you just need to fuel your brain with sugar. You need to have carbohydrates, because that's going to help your brain function better. So you're cramming for studies and you're eating Skittles and M&Ms, and it's giving you a quick boost of energy, but it's actually increasing neuroinflammation to a degree that's not actually good for your brain. But if you look at various carbohydrates, you find that it's not just about the macronutrient profile of a carbohydrate. For example, it's not like rice is the same as a sweet potato, and a sweet potato is the same as a regular potato. They all have different compounds, different amounts of fiber, and different effects on the body. So let's dive into how sweet potatoes impact your brain.
Now, I'm pretty stoked to announce too that for the last couple of years, I have been working with Thrive Market on creating my own product with them. And we decided a couple years back that a good nut butter would be the perfect product to team up on. So my nut butter has officially launched. So there's a couple of different ones. There's a macadamia nut, there's a cinnamon Brazil nut, which is sweet and tastes amazing, that's sweetened with allulose. And there's a chocolate hazelnut flavor, which is amazing. And they're going to abide by my rules too. There's a few different nuts in them, and then there's some allulose, and there's some salt. There's no fillers, there's no weird stuff. And the cool thing is, if you get them through Thrive Market using that link down below, you'll save 30% off your entire grocery order, which also includes my nut butters. Plus you get a $60 free gift when you use that link. So you use that link down below, and then you can find the nut butters there on the website, and you can try whatever different flavor you want. I highly recommend you check them out. I created them in tandem with Thrive Market, so what you're getting is literally what I formulated and what I made. So definitely check them out. And if you're already a Thrive Market member, I'll put a link down below in the description that's specifically for a Thrive Market member that goes directly to that page as well.
So with this, I want to look at a study that was published in the journal Molecular Medicine Reports. Now, this was very interesting because it was a rodent model study, but they looked at the polyphenols and the actual antioxidants that are in sweet potatoes. So what they had these rats do is they actually induced neuroinflammation. You see, again, we have to step back and we realize that it's not just about fueling the brain, it's about fueling the brain without neuroinflammation. So in this case, they induced inflammation by feeding these rats a very high-calorie, high-fat diet. So what they did is they had one group of rats eat their high-fat, high-calorie diet along with purple sweet potatoes. Then they had another group just eat the high-fat diet, and then they had another group just eat the purple sweet potatoes. What they found is that the high-fat, high-calorie diet ended up causing all kinds of neuroinflammation, which would make the brain not function well. But when purple sweet potatoes were added to the mix, it negated almost all the negative aspects of that bad diet. They found that it reduced cyclooxygenase enzyme 2, or COX-2. If you ever have taken aspirin or ibuprofen or anything like that, that is the exact aspect that is working upon. So COX-2 elevates when there's lots of inflammation in the body. So if it's elevated, you might literally be in pain, your brain might literally be inflamed. But if purple sweet potatoes, because of the antioxidants in them, can counteract this, you could literally counteract some effects of a bad diet. I'm not saying that you eat one sweet potato and you're absolved of all your duties to pay attention to your diet, but this is fascinating stuff. They also found it decreased TNF-alpha, which is an inflammatory marker, decreased interleukin-6, which is a main marker of inflammation, especially within the brain, but it increased memory and cognition. So in a short amount of time, even though it's rodents, simply by adding sweet potato along with their bad diet, it actually improved their memory. The reason that I mention this is that we do need to step out of the conventional way of thinking, where we only look at fats, carbs, and proteins, and that's all that matters. The micronutrient profile and the antioxidant profile of a food makes a difference. Now, I have another study I want to share, but I hope that you caught one very important thing. This particular study was using purple sweet potatoes. The more purple the sweet potato, the higher the amount of anthocyanins, which is the very important antioxidant that we need. So when you look at like Japanese purple sweet potatoes or traditional purple sweet potatoes, these are the ones that we're talking about. And if you look at the Okinawans, for example, they eat these Japanese sweet potatoes. And in fact, when you look at the Blue Zone data, despite what you may think about that, they really do chalk up a lot of the benefit as far as the Okinawans are concerned, to their high consumption of Japanese purple sweet potatoes. So what else is going on though? Well, with this, we look at another study that looked more specifically at the extract. So less about the sweet potato itself and more about what is in the sweet potato. So this study was published in Dementia and Neurophysiologia. It was interesting because it was also done in rodents, and they used sweet potato extract. Okay, so not the whole sweet potato, just the extract. They found in this case, in the rats, it decreased tumor necrosis factor alpha, so it decreased inflammation, but they also found in this particular case, it decreased gene expression of the inflammatory gene P53, which means at a very genetic level, the body was producing less of this gene that would cause inflammation in the brain. But then they also saw an increase in BDNF. And this is wild because you don't always see increases in BDNF with carbohydrate sources. But in this case, since it was just an extract, we can see that, okay, independent of the carbohydrate itself, the actual extract or the anthocyanins and the antioxidants is what is having a powerful effect. Now, BDNF is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So this actually increases nerve growth factor. It increases the ability for neurons to grow and actually communicate with one another. So it's literally like brain fertilizer. Now, even though this is rodent model data, it tells us a lot. Now, the other piece that we can't deny is that a sweet potato is going to be a very, very potent source of fiber. Now, I don't want to sound super cliche and boring here, but a more diverse microbiome is correlated with better mood and better memory. And a lot of this has simply to do with the gut-brain axis. So you kind of are acting upon two different pathways, the anthocyanins, but also the fiber and the impact on the gut there. So what is the takeaway here? How should you implement some sweet potatoes into your diet? Well, first off, it needs to be the purple sweet potatoes whenever you can. Okay, the purple sweet potatoes have the most bang for the buck, if you will, as far as anthocyanins. My recommendation would be to start with like a half of a sweet potato and have it towards the latter part of the day. Having a half of a sweet potato is just enough carbohydrates to help you get a little bit more sleep. By having it towards the end of the day, you've already gone through your day with relatively low insulin levels, and then having some carbs allocated towards the evening is probably not the end of the world. But by starting with just a half a sweet potato, you're getting the benefit of the anthocyanins without loading up on a bunch of carbohydrates. Now, sweet potatoes, when they are cooked, are very high glycemic. People tend to think that, oh, it's a sweet potato, it has more fiber, it's not going to be as powerful as a regular potato. It's very, very similar when they're heated. A quick tip would be to use sweet potatoes in like a salad or something like that. So heat it up, put it in the fridge, let it cool down, and then add it to a salad or add it to a meal that way in its cooled form. You're going to lessen the glycemic response of that sweet potato by over 50%. So you're going to make it much less glycemic. You're not going to have as big of a spike, but you're still going to retain all the benefits from the anthocyanins, and you're going to get additional benefit by making it a resistant starch by letting it cool and go to what is called a retrograded starch. So cooled potatoes are preferred, half a sweet potato towards the evening time. I'll see you tomorrow.